So Hanzo is in a weird state right now where the people playing him don't really like how he feels, and at the same time the developers are saying that he's in a good state, at least stats-wise. So as a long-time Hanzo player, I started playing him way back when I still had Scatter Arrow. I wanted to give some thoughts about what I think the problem is with Hanzo in the game right now and some potential solutions for how to fix it. So before I started to play Overwatch back in 2016, I played mostly PvP minigames in Minecraft, and back then my favorite part about the combat was the bow. So that's why when I picked up Overwatch, Hanzo was the obvious transitioning character, or whatever you want to call it. And be it Minecraft's bow, Hanzo in Overwatch, or the bowshot bow in Apex, the bow weapon has a kind of unique feel that you don't really get from your standard gun. And I think that's what makes Hanzo feel different from playing your standard gun wielder or other character in Overwatch in general. So I think the most important part of making Hanzo feel like Hanzo, like keeping his core hero feel and identity, is that his main weapon, his primary fire, is like the core of his kit, basically. So this introduces the problem with Hanzo in the current game. His primary fire is no longer the core of his kit, because after the Season 9 changes, Storm Arrows took that spot. And this is perhaps best highlighted in a video recently released by Arch called How to Play Hanzo Without Pocket, Educational Commentary.
It's all about preserving Storm Arrows for those picks. But now the Storm is back, so I'm gonna Sonic. Boom. You see, it's like that's how easy it is. But the unfortunate is it's just one kill. Damn it, that's what I mean. That should go for this double Storm Arrow. It's way faster.
And it doesn't take long to see the pattern. Whatever the task at hand, the Storm Arrows is always the optimal tool. If you want to go for a pick, Storm Arrows. If you want to shield break, Storm Arrows. If you want to burst a tank, Storm Arrows. If you want to fend off a flanker or a diver, Storm Arrows is always the best option. It used to be that despite the slow charge speed and the movement speed penalty that you got from charging your primary fire, since it had the ability to one-shot, it still gave it a high max potential value compared to Storm Arrow's high consistent value. And since Storm Arrows was also given a cooldown reduction in the Season 9 patch, it now comes up way more often, so there are less times where you will use your primary bow to get some value in the mid-fight and instead just wait for your Storm Arrows since you don't want to give away your position. So what's so bad about Storm Arrows then? Well, this comes down to the fact that it doesn't really make you feel like an archer in the same way. Firstly, when you use Storm Arrows, it removes the charging aspect of firing. Instead, it just instantly releases your arrows, like any normal gun. Secondly, since you don't get the movement speed penalty, you don't have to play as smart around cover as you would normally do with a bow weapon. And thirdly, it also allows you to just hold down the button to continuously fire, which definitely does not feel like a normal bow weapon. And as much as people used to hate old Scatter Arrow, at very least it was more incorporated into his primary fire, so it both played into the feeling of using a bow, as well as presented the enemies with the same weaknesses to exploit as when you charge a regular arrow. Now, for some reason, the patches lately seem to be aimed at making Storm Arrows more and more into the core of Hanzo's kit. And I think if we wanted the character to feel good for the people playing him and to retain his hero identity, we should go in the opposite direction. Attempt to make Storm Arrows an ability that is used almost exclusively to assist his primary fire, rather than replace it. The first thing that needs to happen is reducing the amount of Storm Arrows you can fire at a time. Perhaps Storm Arrows could be a resource that regenerates over time similar to Doomfist's primary fire, with a maximum of about 2 to 3 ammo capacity. They could then either reduce the activation time of Storm Arrows, or maybe even remove the transformation entirely and have it fire on a button press, so you can more smoothly follow up on a primary fire. And this would more incentivize the ability to be used to finish off targets that you get low with your regular bow. It could also be worth considering making it so you get one Storm Arrow charge back from eliminations. So then, if you're skilled enough to land a headshot into a Storm Arrow, you immediately have the ability to do it again without waiting for your next Storm Arrow charge. This would also give Hanzo a similar style of reward on elimination that his brother Genji gets for his dash, so that would be kind of a cool connection to have. Now onto his ultimate. So in Season 9 everyone's health pools were increased, and to keep a relatively similar time to kill, projectiles were made bigger and non-projectile damage sources were increased, such as Winston's Primal Rage or Cassidy's Sign-In. However, for some reason, Hanzo's Dragon Strike did not receive the same compensation buffs, despite being notoriously hard to kill with before the health changes. Instead we got the speed increase in a later patch, which did make it slightly more deadly, but just like the developers acknowledged in the patch notes, it also decreases zoning efficiency. So I don't really see why we couldn't just increase its damage to be relative to the new health pools. There are some other problems I have with Hanzo in the current game, like for example how he continuously lost quality of life aspects in his kit to try and reduce enemy frustrations without ever giving him anything new in his place, or how Mercy sort of just breaks the character right now. But I wanted to make this video more focused on the general idea of basing his gameplay loop around its primary fire, since that's what I think will ultimately help Hanzo the most to feel fun and unique in the game overall. Yeah, bye.